Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into something that, well, it sounds a bit like science fiction, doesn't it? The body hardening, almost turning to stone in places.
Yeah, it's quite a striking image.
We're talking about pathologic calcification, or PC. Now, basically, pathologic calcification is when mineral salts, mostly calcium, but sometimes iron and magnesium too, deposit abnormally into tissues, places they really shouldn't be.
Exactly.
And understanding this process is actually super important for getting a handle on everything from chronic heart conditions to kidney failure.
And, right off the bat, the crucial thing for you to grasp is that there isn't just one type. PC actually covers two very different processes, fundamentally different origins.
Okay.
So first, you've got dystrophic calcification, DC. Think of this like a scar, but made of mineral. It only happens in tissue that's already damaged or, dying.
So the tissue's already compromised.
Precisely. And crucially, your body's overall calcium levels, your metabolism, it's all normal. The problem is strictly local at the site of damage.
Got it. Local damage response.
Then second, there's metastatic calcification, MC. Now, this is a systemic issue, a body-wide problem. It happens in perfectly normal, healthy tissue.
Really? In healthy tissue?
Yes, and it's almost always caused by hypercalcemia, meaning abnormally high levels of calcium floating around in your blood.
Wow, okay, two totally different ball games then.
Completely different.
So our mission today is to really unpack these two. Why does calcium end up sticking to a leaky heart valve even when your blood calcium is fine? And why does, say, a hormone problem cause deposits in your lungs?
We want you to understand the why behind the damage, the mechanism.
Let's kick off with the local issue then. Dystrophic calcification. You said it's like the body failing to clean up properly after an injury.
That's a good way to put it. DC is basically the signature left behind after cells have died. Necrosis.
Any kind of cell death.
Pretty much any kind, yeah. Whether it's from lack of blood flow, coagulative necrosis, or infection, like caseous necrosis in TB, or even enzymatic destruction of fat, the tissue breaks down, creates this environment, and minerals start to deposit.
And the real kicker here, it seems, is that the body's attempt to fix things, to wall off damage, can actually cause the next big problem, like in our arteries.
Oh, absolutely. Atherosclerosis is a prime example. DC is almost always found in those advanced plaques, the fatty yellow ones.
We always hear about cholesterol and lipids building up the plaque. So is the calcium just sort of an innocent bystander, or is it actively making things worse?
It's definitely an active player. That calcification process is what makes the plaque hard and brittle.
Ah, the hardening of the arteries we hear about.
Exactly that. You get these fine, white, gritty bits inside the plaque. And that rigidity, that loss of flexibility, is what narrows the artery and makes it prone to causing heart attacks or strokes. It's not just there, it's contributing directly.
And even more dramatic in heart valves, you mentioned.
Yes, definitely. DC is very common in heart valves that are aging or already damaged. It leads to major functional problems like calcific aortic stenosis.
How does that happen?
Well, the calcium salts just build up over time on the valve leaflets. They turn what should be thin, flexible flaps into these thick, rigid, gritty lumps.
So the valve can't open properly anymore.
Right. It severely restricts blood flow, and you can actually feel these deposits sometimes. They're gritty.
The source material even mentions an extreme case, a lymph node affected by tuberculosis turning practically into stone.
It can be that extreme, yes. A permanent mineral record of that past infection.
And under the microscope, what does it look like?
Microscopically, these deposits usually look kind of amorphous, granular. They stain a deep blue or purple color with the standard H&E stain. We call that basophilic. They can be inside cells, outside cells, or both.
And pathologists can tell even more from the shape.
Sometimes, yes. The way the calcium deposits are arranged can give clues. That's where it gets diagnostically interesting.
You mean things like those? Semoma bodies.
Exactly. Semibodies. They look like tiny onions or grains of sand under the microscope, lamellated layered structures formed by calcium laying down layer after layer.
And finding those means something specific.
Oh, very specific. Finding semibodies is a really important clue for diagnosing certain types of papillary cancers. Thyroid cancer is a classic example. It's a microscopic sign pointing towards a serious diagnosis.
Wow. And then there are those other strange ones, asbestos bodies.
Right, another specialized form. Those are found in the lungs of people exposed to asbestos fibers. The body tries to wall off these long, sharp fibers it can't digest.
How does it do that?
Calcium and iron salts basically coat the asbestos spicule, forming these weird beaded dumbbell shapes. It's like the body encasing the intruder in mineral armor.
Fascinating. So summing up dystrophic calcification, it's much more than just a marker of old damage, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's often an active part of the disease process itself. That calcified valve, that rigid artery plaque, they're directly causing organ dysfunction, sometimes life-threatening dysfunction.
Okay, that distinction is crystal clear. DC is the local tissue tragedy. Now, let's shift gears completely. What happens when the whole system is out of whack, flooded with calcium, and even normal tissue starts to mineralize?
Right. That brings us squarely into metastatic calcification, or MC. Here we move from a local tissue injury problem to a systemic metabolic crisis. Hypercalcemia.
High calcium in the blood.
Dangerously high. So high the body just can't keep it dissolved, and it starts precipitating out, depositing in tissues that were previously perfectly healthy.
Okay, so what pushes calcium levels that high? What are the main drivers?
There are four main culprits, really. Four major reasons why your blood calcium might go through the roof.
Let's break them down. What's the first one?
Number one is often about hormones, specifically increased parathyroid hormone, or PTH.
PTA. Okay, what does that do?
PTH basically tells your bones to release calcium into the bloodstream. If you have a tumor on your parathyroid glands producing too much PTH, your calcium levels shoot up.
Can anything else mimic that?
Yes, sometimes malignant tumors elsewhere in the body can secrete a protein that acts like PTH, tricking the bones into releasing calcium.
Okay, so hormone imbalances or tumor signals. What's number two?
Number two is direct bone destruction. If the bone itself is being destroyed, the calcium stored there gets dumped into the blood.
Like with bone cancer.
Exactly.
Okay.
Primary bone marrow tumors like multiple myeloma or cancers that have spread to the bone like breast cancer metastasis, even things that cause rapid bone turnover like Paget's disease or simply being immobilized for a long time can lead to bone resorption and hypercalcemia.
Right, the bone structure breaks down, releasing its calcium stores. Makes sense. Cause number three.
Number three involves vitamin D problems. Either vitamin D intoxication, taking way too much, or certain conditions like sarcoidosis.
How does sarcoidosis link to vitamin D?
In sarcoidosis, activated immune cells, macrophages, can actually start making an active form of vitamin D themselves. Either way, too much active vitamin D leads to absorbing too much calcium from your diet.
So excessive absorption from the gut. Okay. And the last one, number four.
Number four is renal failure, kidney failure.
This seems less direct. How do failing kidneys cause high blood calcium?
It's a bit of a cascade. When kidneys fail, they struggle to get rid of phosphate. So phosphate levels rise in the blood.
Okay.
High phosphate triggers the parathyroid glands to pump out more PTH to try and compensate. This is called secondary hyperparathyroidism.
Ah, so the kidney failure indirectly ramps up the PTH signal again.
Exactly. And that extra PTH pulls more calcium out of the bones, trying to balance the phosphate, but leading to overall high calcium levels in the blood. It's a nasty feedback loop.
A truly vicious cycle. Kidney failure, phosphate, PTH, bone release, high calcium.
You got it.
So when the blood is overloaded like this, why does the calcium tend to deposit in specific places like the stomach lining, the lungs, the kidneys? Seems a bit random.
It does seem random, but there's actually a chemical reason. It's a really neat biological point, actually.
Right.
It boils down to pH. These tissues, gastric mucosa, kidneys, lungs, are all involved in secreting acid as part of their normal function.
Okay, stomach acid, acidifying urine.
Right. And that acid secretion process creates tiny little pockets within the tissue itself, the interstitial space, that are actually slightly alkaline. More basic.
Ah, an internal alkaline zone.
Exactly. And calcium salts, especially calcium phosphate, are much less soluble in alkaline environments. They prefer to precipitate out.
So when the whole system is flooded with calcium because of hypercalcemia, these naturally alkaline pockets become the prime spots for deposition. The body inadvertently creates the perfect trap.
Precisely. It's a consequence of their normal function combined with the systemic overload.
So what are the clinical consequences of this metastatic calcification? You said DC often causes direct problems. What about MC?
Often, MC might not cause obvious symptoms, especially if it's mild. The deposits might just be found incidentally.
But if it's severe?
If it's severe, it can be very serious. Massive calcium deposits in the lungs, for instance, can stiffen the lung tissue and significantly impair breathing. cause real respiratory problems.
And in the kidneys, you mentioned nephrocalcinosis.
Yes, nephrocalcinosis is when you get massive calcium deposition throughout the kidney tissue itself. This progressive buildup damages the kidney tubules and structures, eventually leading to severe renal damage and worsening kidney failure, again, feeding back into that cycle.
So it can compound the underlying kidney problem that might have contributed to it in the first place.
It certainly can.
And morphologically, under the microscope, does MC look different from DC?
Generally, no. The salts themselves look similar, usually amorphous basophilic deposits, maybe some crystalline structure like hydroxyapatite. The key difference isn't the appearance of the salt, it's the context.
The context being normal tissue versus damaged tissue and systemic hypercalcemia versus normal calcium levels.
Exactly. DC is that local flag on injured ground. MC is the system-wide alarm bell signaling metabolic chaos.
So if we pull back and connect this to the bigger picture of cell pathology, understanding calcification seems vital for tackling some major diseases.
Oh, absolutely. Think about dystrophic calcification. It's integral to atherosclerosis, heart valve disease, huge public health burdens. If we could better understand and maybe even inhibit that calcification process in damaged tissues.
That could have massive implications for cardiovascular health.
Potentially huge, yes. And on the flip side, metastatic calcification is this stark indicator of severe, advanced systemic problems, uncontrolled cancers, end-stage kidney disease. It tells you the body's metabolic regulation has seriously broken down.
It really underscores how interconnected everything is.
It does. And just one more fascinating, though thankfully rare, detail our sources mention.
Go on.
In some extreme cases of calcification, whether it's dystrophic or metastatic, the body can sometimes go a step further than just depositing salts. It can actually try to organize these mineral deposits into proper bone tissue.
I mean, actual bone, where it shouldn't be.
Yes, it's called heterotopic bone formation. Mature bone structure, potentially even with marrow elements, forming within soft tissues as a response to severe, long-standing calcification. The body literally starts building bone in the wrong place.
Wow. That's turning the stone to a whole new level.
It certainly is a dramatic endpoint to the process.
So to wrap this up then, pathologic calcification is essentially the body leaving a permanent mark. It's either marking old local damage that never quite got cleaned up properly,
Dystrophic.
or it's shouting about a major metabolic crisis that's swamping the entire system.
Metastatic.
Two distinct stories told by the same mineral deposit.
Precisely. And that actually leads to a final thought, something for you to chew on.
Okay.
Given that dystrophic calcification happens so often in areas of old cell injury, necrosis, the wear and tear of life, what does the slow, steady accumulation of these gritty deposits throughout our tissues really tell us about the aging process itself? Is this gradual calcification just a side effect of getting older, an inevitable consequence of accumulated damage? Or could it be, perhaps, an active contributor to senescence, to the functional decline we associate with aging?
Is the hardening literal, in a way? Contributing to stiffness and loss of function over time?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? How much of aging is actually driven by this slow mineralization of past injuries? Something to think about.
Definitely something to mull over. What other subtle changes might be signaling long-term accumulation of damage? That was our deep dive into pathologic calcification. We hope you now have a clearer picture of why sometimes parts of the body really do turn toward stone.